Hi, my name is Chuck Collier. I'm the Safety and Security Coordinator for Dublin City Schools. I'm here with Chief Paez from Dublin Police.
Hi, and I'm Justin Paez, and I'm the Chief of Police here in the City of Dublin and the Dublin Police Department.
So, Chief, thanks for coming by. Really, all we want to do is just sit down with you to talk about our partnership. So, Dublin Schools and Dublin Police have had a partnership that has been very, very serving for both populations. Talk to me about your side, what you see that partnership being.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck, and it's great being here, and it's great to see you again, certainly
Right.
for all the years we've worked together and continue that partnership now with you in Dublin City Schools. We're very fortunate that we've had a program that has had a long connectivity to Dublin City Schools and an important connectivity. The school system is such an important resource in our community and such an important population for us to make sure that we're connected to make sure that we're there to support, and to make sure that it is a safe environment for our students and for our teachers, to make sure there's a right foundation for them to learn and grow and develop in our community.
So, talk a little bit about that safety piece. Being a former school resource officer, you're obviously integral in making those decisions about that program. What do you look for in a school resource officer? What do you look for in the applicants? What do you try to identify as characteristics as somebody who's going to be successful in that role?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, our focus is with the program are, as you well know, safety, prevention, and education. And so we're looking for officers who really understand that intentionality of our connectivity and our involvement with Dublin City Schools, and people who want to serve. People who want to connect to the student population, to be there to support teachers in the environment, and to make sure that they're paying attention to the needs of the student population, the teacher population, and connecting to parents as well, to make sure that we provide, again, the right service, but also a safe environment. So we're looking for officers who can communicate well, who can problem solve, and who are empathetic and understanding of how to make sure, again, that people feel safe and have the right support they need to be able to be successful in the school system.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to hit on that empathy piece. In today's society, with social emotional learning being at the forefront of pretty much every conversation, what kind of training do officers have specific to that, or what kind of in-services do you guys have that help people navigate those essentially counseling sessions that you have with just the public at large and or students?
Yeah, as part of our training, obviously all of our school resource officers get the required training through the state of Ohio to be a school resource officer. But then in addition, with all of our officers, what we're looking to do is make sure that we're providing the right foundation for them to be able to, one, communicate regularly, but also in times of crisis, make sure that they understand what an individual needs in support in that moment to help navigate their way through and find a foundation, again, in their own wellness and safety. So training in our agency over the last several years, whether it be through implicit bias training, through diversity training, through crisis intervention training, those are things that help us, again, have the right resources as officers to identify what is the avenue for us to be able to connect to somebody, to be able to empathize with the situation they're going through, and again, make sure that they're supported and feel safe again, whether it's in the school system or it's a student that we see at an event out in the community as well.
We have S3s, we have counselors, we have a lot of supports in the school system to help deal with persons in crisis. Sometimes that's not enough, and sometimes we have to take that next step and have somebody pink slipped. A lot of people might not know what pink slip means. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so an involuntary admission for evaluation would be what we refer to sometimes as a pink slip, and that is when somebody is having a crisis or is at a place where we can, again, having interviewed the person and having spoken with them, realize that they're in need of additional support. And as you said, professional mental health support to make sure that they get to a place of wellness, but also that they are safe during that time where they may be having thoughts of suicide. They may be thinking about harming themselves and are in the need of, again, professional assistance to make sure that they are well and taken care of. And so our role really as school resource officers and as police officers in the community is, again, to make sure that we understand totally what is occurring with that individual, and then connecting them to the right resources and making sure that they go safely from the environment they're in currently to that place that they can receive assistance.
Okay. Changing topics a little bit. I know you've been in the community since you've been here, essentially, well before becoming police chief. Talk about your experiences with your kids growing up in Dublin schools?
Yeah, we are. My wife and I have 5 kids who have gone through Dublin City Schools or are going through Dublin City Schools. We have 2 graduates from Scioto High School and then 3 that are at Scioto currently. And so we came up through Daniel Wright and then Davis, and it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, for both my wife and I, getting to see our children again have the support and resources that Dublin City Schools provides, and the wonderful teachers that are part of this ecosystem has really been. We couldn't feel more blessed. And so our oldest is an education major at Bowling Green State University and chose that path because that's exactly what she wants to do, is again return what she got from so many wonderful teachers in Dublin City Schools. And it's just been one of the reasons that we feel like Dublin is such a special community has everything to do with the school system and everything to do with the fantastic educators and staff we have here as part of Dublin City Schools. So it really is what makes Dublin a special environment.
And that's going back to the school resource officer. That is one of the things that makes our program, I'm sorry, your program, used to be ours, but
yeah, you
makes
were an
your
integral part of
program
it.
So special is that connection that the SRO has with the student body as well as the staff, going to extracurriculars, just being involved in the classrooms and things like that. How do you encourage your SROs to continue those trends of making those connections and forming those relationships?
You know what? One of the wonderful things for me as a chief is watching our school resource officers and not having to encourage that at all, because it's just naturally who they are. And so for me, when I get to go to events that my kids are involved in, I get to be out in the community because I live here and be involved in events to see our school resource officers. And I'll give you an example as we work a special event like the Dublin Irish Festival or parades, to hear students, not just current students, but students who have graduated and come back to Dublin or who are back in Dublin, come up and talk to a school resource officer as somebody who was a mentor to them, who was a support for them, who made them feel special because they were acknowledged as somebody who was important to them as an officer. That's such a wonderful feeling for me to be able to see that, because I know my kids have experienced it knowing all of our officers, but to know that our school resource officers are doing that for each of their kids, because those are their kids in their school systems, it just warms my heart to see that happen with our school resource officers and that connectivity with the students.
In most departments, I know, at least when I was with Dublin, we had measurables. We had goals that we strive to achieve through various different methods. What are some of your top goals that you as the police department's chief are trying to implement with the community?
Yeah, what we're very proud of is that the work that we do in Dublin is certainly done intentionally and with strategic focus on making sure we're achieving public safety goals. And so the 4 goals for us each and every year really focus on preparedness for critical incidents, so those events that are once in a lifetime that we can't really predict they're going to happen, but we need to be prepared to respond and again bring the world back together. And then our goal as it relates to criminal occurrences, reducing incidents of crime in the community, so reducing incidents of theft, reducing incidents of theft from vehicle, burglary, and B&E offenses are what we focus on because those are what we see reported most in the community. And again, Dublin's a very safe community, but we always want to make sure we continue to see that downward trend in those occurrences so it continues to be safe. From a traffic safety perspective, we have a lot of roadway that travels to and from and through Dublin, and making sure that that is safe to travel on is a focus for us in improving traffic safety in the community. And then finally, our 4th goal that has become really integrally important in the conversations we're having about policing in our communities is community engagement. And so making sure we are intentional in reaching out to community members, soliciting not just feedback, but understanding what the community's expectations are of us as a police department is really important. And so that's the focus from a larger perspective for the agency and the entire community, but those also are focuses for us as school resource officers in the school system, and finding ways to contribute to those goals while working with the student population, while working with teachers and with parents is an important way for us to connect and again achieve the overall goals through the environment here in the school system as well.
You mentioned one of the goals being ready to respond to mass casualty events, emergency preparedness, things like that. ALICE is what we teach in the schools through the help of the police department. Talk about what ALICE is, because some people might not know what it is.
Yeah, so ALICE is our active threat training. So preparing, again, students, teachers, parents, the community at large for those occurrences we hope never happen in Dublin. But we don't want to be caught off guard and unprepared to be able to navigate what is a critical incident for as much as we can, keeping everyone safe in that environment. So preparing ahead of time, thinking through what you will do should that event occur. Again, we hope that it never does, but preparation is key in making sure that everyone can get through it safely. As much as we can have that conversation, we want to have that communication with, again, our resident population, but also in this environment as well, to make sure everyone knows what they need to keep themselves safe.
So one of the questions that we get a lot from even back when I was an SRO is, how do we marry Alice to the young population, the K through 5, the K through 3s? How do we change our teaching style from the run, hide, fight, the Alice acronym, to make it applicable to what a second or third grader can do?
Yeah, I think that those communications are sensitive at that age, because you want to make sure that it's age appropriate, but what you want to talk about is safety. You want to talk about awareness of what it looks like for a young person, a young student, to be aware of what the right environment should look like, and if they don't feel safe, making sure that they lean on the adults that are there to take care of them, including our school resource officers, to make sure that they're prepared again to keep themselves safe. And if they feel unsafe, making sure that they're comfortable in reaching out again to the adults that are there to protect them in that environment.
I know when we were doing it back in the day we'd play hide and seek with the youngsters,
Right.
teaching the same concepts, but in different terms.
Yes, right.
So they understand when a teacher says, hey, follow the leader, we're going to follow.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, so it's finding a way, again, and you're absolutely right, and you remember it well from your time as a school resource officer, having that age-appropriate communication that also makes sure that everyone in the environment is prepared to keep themselves safe and to get to a point of safety if something does occur.
Well, I appreciate your time. I want to thank you face-to-face for the help that you guys have given the district, me personally. The partnership that we have is, I think, top-notch across the state. I mean, I don't know that any other agency has that relationship with their school district, and that's in large part because of you guys and who you are as a police agency, and the way that you're willing to work with the community.
Well, we've had wonderful members as part of our school resource officer program, former school resource officers of the year in the state of Ohio, and certainly it's a wonderful partnership that we intend to continue well into the future, and look forward to all the things we're going to do together.
Awesome. Good to hear.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Chief.